Chapter 81. Tia sent this. A box full of desserts was delivered to Pyrak Palace. All of this? Perez asked with a puzzled look when he opened the lid of the box. Delivered were at least 30 servings of cakes and desserts. It's a caramel avenue cake. It's gotten quite popular these days. Perez's ears turned red at Caitlin's explanation. That may be all he looked on the outside, but Perez was really delighted. It's a little sad that you don't visit the palace often, but Tia thought of me too. What would you fancy eating, Your Highness? Caitlin delightedly prepared to serve it on a plate. Perez gazed into the box. What would Tia eat? What kind of cake does she like most? I thoroughly looked with my eyes and saw a chocolate cake topped with white cream. Perhaps that one. Chocolate and cream. Everything that Tia likes is on that cake. He recalled Tia's happy face when he ate the cake to his heart's content. A smile blossomed on Perez's face. This one. When Caitlin moved the cake, Perez pointed onto a small plate. An attendant arrived at Pyrak Palace. There was an order for you to come to patronage, Your Highness the Second Prince. Right now? Yes, Your Highness. Perez gazed at the cake box, with eyes dripping with regret. The attendant saw Perez's sad figure and said, We have refreshments in the central palace, but you can bring those if you No, Perez adamantly refused. I'll go now. I am not planning to share Tia's gift with anyone, not even to the Emperor. Kylus. Yes, Your Highness, I will watch over it with pleasure. Kylus assuredly smiled as if he understood Perez's heart. Perez nodded once at Kylus and proceeded to follow behind the attendant. At the central palace, there was a large greenhouse. It was primarily intended to protect the exotic plants which cannot grow well under the capital's climate. And because of its optimal temperature, it was often used as a place to gather and have tea time. Perez stopped his step when he saw who was inside the greenhouse. The one drinking tea while leisurely admiring the flowers was not the emperor. It was Empress Rabini. I glanced at the servant and opened the greenhouse door with a smile as if it was the correct place where I was ordered to go. Srug, srug, Perez's footsteps resonated inside the greenhouse. When I see you have arrived. Empress Rubini, who was admiring the petals, directed her gaze upwards and greeted Perez. Come here and sit down. Her smiling face was convincingly sincere, but he just stared at the Empress with his somber, calm eyes. Didn't I tell you to have a seat? The Empress repeated with a brighter smile and a sweeter voice. Perez, instead of answering, pulled out a chair the Empress pointed and sat himself down. Rabini smiled contentedly and placed the tea in front of Perez herself. Meanwhile, Perez looked upon the flower Rabini was admiring a while ago. Malefician. It was highly poisonous. The more yellow it bloomed, the more toxic it is. But the flower's appearance is captivatingly beautiful. The flower petals dancing with the wind resembled the Empress' dazzling looks of blonde hair. Green. The monotonous sound accompanied the feeling of Perez's teacup. It was a clear and transparent yellow. You must be wondering why I summoned you here, right? Instead of answering, Perez leaned his back on the chair. His relaxed countenance made Rabina's long eyelashes flutter. But her flowery smile only darkened. I apologize for neglecting you all this time, Your Highness. So the reason I called you here is no other than the Empress stopped, but what she was about to say, she glanced upon the teacup in front of Perez. Why are you not drinking, Your Highness? It was indirect, but she certainly is pressuring him. Hurry and drink the tea before you. The Empress smile commanded to do so, but Perez refused to yield. He did not even touch the teacup and faced the Empress with indifference. This is not your average tea. I purposely prepared special herbs for the prince. Is it not to your liking? If you happen to hear Rabina's voice, Perez will seem like an ungrateful man to the Empress. Not that would care anyways. His red eyes stared at the tea that was clear and vivid yellow, and slowly parted his mouth. I am fine. I'm tired of grass now. Perez pushed the saucer with the teacup in front of the Empress. Please have some share too. What a pity. What? Perez breathed heavily as old rage rises within him. A rusty knife isn't threatening at all. It is time to sharpen ourselves with determination. But his resolve was shaken by the Empress' next words. The reason I called your highness here is for you to call me mother. In the future, mother. As soon as the word came out of the emperor's mouth, Perez depicted himself slitting her throat. First, Stabastana, enough for him to be covered by cuts all over his body and make him grovel on his feet, and kill Robini right in front of my eyes. His mind was filled with images of his dying mother in the detached palace, cursing the emperor with her last breath. The dry tears that worried about him, who was left alone, seemed to be still wetting his hands. Perez glared at Empress Rabini. The only thing that could possibly soothe his anger is to see those mother and son covered in blood. The Empress smiled more pleasantly when he saw the spark in his eyes for a moment. I have already talked with the Emperor about this. I may not be your birth mother, but I will treat you like my own son. Grook. Perez grasped that steel chair's armrest. You are still at the age where you need your mother's help. The Emperor was so proud of you, so after much thought, I came up with a perfect education for the prince. The Empress said with her beautifully arcing eyes. Please attend the academy, your highness. If I stay here any longer, I will definitely talk. Perez had no plans to listen anymore and stanced abruptly from his seat. Your highness. The Empress was startled and raised her voice with a frown. What do you mean by this, your highness? I am not done speaking yet. I am sorry. Perez looked down at the sitting Empress with cold eyes and spoke. I have nothing more to learn. Perez left the greenhouse after saying those words. The Empress said something more, but Perez did not care. Since Perez knew how to use aura, there were no knights of the Empress who dared apprehend him. He returned to Poirac Palace. Caitlin and Kylus looked at him with concern in their eyes. Perez's face was distorted. No one was able to approach him and ask why. Kylo stomped his feet repeatedly. He better screaming and breaking things. It wouldn't be so heartbreaking to watch. The way he sat with his head down and a face that didn't even shed tears seemed so small today. Apparently, he came back after receiving a call, but this is the first time they saw Perez in such a crestfallen state that they don't know what to do. Right then, Caitlin, who was observing Perez, started to move. It was nothing impressive. She placed the chocolate cake and the warm cup of milk in front of Perez. Perez looked at the cake at the sound of a cling. His long black eyelashes fluttered. The slice of cake on the table felt like it was pricking his conscience. His boiling rage was slowly sitting. The pounding of his heart gradually subsided. The hand that wanted to unsheath his short sword stopped. Instead, he picked up his fork with now calm hands. As Tia did, he scarfed down a large piece of cake. The sweetness of the cream blended harmoniously with the bread in his mouth. Without saying anything, Perez was back to usual after eating the piece of cake, playing with his hands and mouth. Sweet, Perez murmured, rubbing the white cream around his mouth with his thumb. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I visited Violet's office when I heard that Violet had finished researching the Lyra coal mine. Violet offered me a well-organized thick report. The Lancanta family has a total debt of about 7,000 gold. 600 of them are immediate debts who were looking at the auction starting price around that time. 600 gold is quite a lot of money in a typical aristocratic family. It's understandable trying to dispose of a coal mine. The remaining coal reserves in the Lyra mine are expected to be very small, and after a separate inquiry, the people of Angenes went around here a few months ago. Did you find out exactly who it was? This is Corton and Janice, at the top of the Durak. Violet confidently reported. Did you go there secretly? I came quietly and without notice, but I didn't have a deal with the top of Angenes, and I didn't like Lyra's Inn, so I knocked on the Lord's gate in the middle of the night to get a room. Gosh, we went to the secret investigation and complained about the bed. I shook my head. What about the iron rumor? The expert who accompanied Durak said it was quite like that iron was buried near it. Of course, there will be. Although it is only a small amount, the seeds will dry out after only 3 months, so the winning bid will be between 1,300 and 1,500 gold. I nodded. However, the Lyra coal mine will win 2,000 gold, as I said. But of course, Violet's prediction was also reasonable. I know the future and Violet doesn't. Just in case, let's make sure we have enough budget of 2,100 gold and 100 gold. Plus. Yes, I understand. And with that, we ended the topic. Clarivine, who had been keeping his mouth shut during the whole conversation with Violet, finally opened his mouth. You may have to prepare a little more than that. Why do you think so? Lombardy will be participating in the bid for Lyra mine in this auction. Melipician, flower name that doesn't exist in real life. Okay. End of chapter 81. Chapter 82. I stared at Caravan, wondering if I had misheard him. When I stopped by the mansion today, I heard them talk about it. From whom exactly did you hear it? The top merchant of Lombardy. I heard it from him. Lombardy's top merchant, Caravan's father, Roma City Lord. That is absolutely not the type of man to talk nonsense to his son. Then it must be true that Lombardy heard rumors about the Lyra mine. I recalled my memories and began to go over them meticulously again. However, no matter how hard I tried to recall my memories, it was true that the highest bid was 2,000 gold. Lombardy will spare no money just to maintain an iron monopoly. So you may have to prepare more than what you think, my lady, advised Caravan with a serious look. He's right. If Lombardy knew about iron ore, there was a good chance he'd call in around 5,000 gold right away and win the bid. Did I possibly cause a butterfly effect from one of my actions suddenly causing Lombardy to participate in the auction? However, the jewel buried underneath is worth buying even if it costs 5,000 gold. If I start to move now, it's not impossible to prepare at 5,000 gold on the day of the auction. And a thought suddenly raced in my head. What if Lombardy actually joined the auction in the past? I felt like I was tangled up in my head and my worries grew deeper and deeper. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. So, there's something on my head. What? When I touched my head, I felt something light and soft. I'm seriously thinking about something. What is this? I was a little annoyed and took off the object on my head, and it was a flower crown made of white wildflowers. What is? I made it. The child's unique soft voice reached my ears. It really suits Tia. Rainy shouted with a big smile on his freckled face. Alright, right now I'm flower viewing. I was out of my mind for a moment, recalling a conversation at the pilot's office a few days ago. That's right, flower viewing. It's hard to be an 11-year-old too. Yes, it really looks good on Tia. Lorraine smiled when she brushed off Rainy's filthy hands, which were green and grassy. We were now out in the field inside Lombardy's mansion, and this time of the year, small flower blooms filling the fields. The children would then make flower crowns and rings with it. It was one of the ways of playing for children in this era, where there was not too much to do. Now this is hard. Being a child, right now in my head, the Lyra coal mine, the Angenes, and Lombardy are all messed up. 2,000 gold or 5,000 gold, it's too complicated to calculate. In reality, I just want to sit here in the grass and play. My worries in reality has a great disparity. You look good with yellow flowers too. I really think so too. It's because Tia is pretty. Crane puts another flower crown on my head and compliments me again. All of them looks good on you. Craney really likes Tia. Lorraine says, while she pats Brainy's red hair. Yes, I will marry Tia. What? Lorraine looked at me with big smiling eyes. Now, how do you want me to react to that? Ha, I thought all the wildflowers here would lose their will to live and wither themselves and lie down. Sigh. I need to protect his innocence. I replied with a slightly mechanical voice even when I heard it. Wow, I'm glad. But the excited Craney doesn't know anything and runs around the field again to make a ring for me. Theo, what's wrong? Lorraine asked, pulling a small grass off my cheek. I'm still doing what an 11-year-old would do, but Lorraine was purely taking care of me and Crane and playing with me. The kind-hearted Lorraine. Nothing. There's nothing wrong. You don't look so good for the past few days. If you have any concerns, though I'm not much of any help. Lorraine smiled beautifully. Then the wind blew like in the field from a distance, fluttering Lorraine's long, coveted brown hair. Even though her finely combed hair is tangled, her smiling face turns to the direction of the wind. Yes, Lorraine is this kind of person. My heart aches thinking about Lorraine at that time when she lay still and came back with a flower on her chest. I smiled when I said to Lorraine, no, right now I'm fine, but if I have any worries, I hope you would listen, Lorraine. I will, anytime. Lorraine was pleased with my words. Tia, Rainy's blushing face, one coming from somewhere far away. Let's give flower crowns to Gilio and Mayron too. You made one for the twins too? You're so kind, Granny. Their sword training should be done by now. Should we go back too? Yes, fortunately, the place where Shannonette and the twins live is not far from here. I stood up after Lorraine and Granny. Oh my god, I think my joints hurt after sitting and playing in a hard field for hours. I'm still at a brisk age, but anyways, I'll wipe Granny's hands and go. Take the flower crown and go first. Okay, I understand. Lorraine and Granny held hands and went somewhere while I alone went to the twins' drawing room. There is no one here. A familiar voice was heard from inside as I pushed through the door to look for the twins. Lyra Coal Mine. Is it going as expected? Lyra Coal Mine. I hid behind the pillar and held my breath. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I can't believe a man like this is the Durak merchant of Angenes. Vestian laughed inwardly at his opponent sitting opposite him. He was no better off than Vestian himself in any way than he was born into a good family. That good guy did nothing else good other than be born in a good family of Angenes. The top merchant, a very undeserved position. Angenes and even Lombardy too. They are all undeserving of their positions. It's not that I don't believe it. It's a very important issue, so naturally they care. Vestian said with an amiable smile. As I said before, the auction is a week from today. Fortunately, there's no change. If so, the auction bid, no change. Lombardi will bid 1,600 gold, just like he promised. After this, he'll be in a bit of a bind, but Vestian wasn't too worried. He was Lulak Lombardi's only son-in-law after all. Lulak had a soft side of covering his family until the end, so he could have pretended to restrain himself for days. It was not a big loss for Scots to win the right to the Lyra mine. If that's the case, then Durak will bid 1,800 gold. Yes, that's right, as we have discussed earlier. Haha, come on. Durak merchant scratched the side of his head and smiled silly. I've been ordered to check about this, but I'm embarrassed really. I can't believe you're doing this without a hitch. Haha, I'm flattered. But as we said, I think it would be nice to have a little bit of faith in this, Bastion Scots. Yeah, you're right. Durak shied away and smiled stupidly. Then he spoke in a rather gracious manner. Don't worry about mining rights. If we win the lyrical mine, we'll go back to Scots as promised. Of course, that's the terms of the deal. Vestian smiled brightly at Durak, hiding the fact that he has the upper hand. I'll only trust the Angenes. Clatter. A very small noise was heard. Bastian immediately stopped talking and began to scour the room with his hawkish eyes. The smiles on their faces cooled down. Then behind the post on the side of the doorway, a blue dress would be seen sticking out. Chuck. Bastian grabbed the small lady's shoulder that was hiding behind the pillar. It was Gallian's daughter, a brunette-haired girl wearing a sloppy flower crown, came out in his tough hands. You. When Bastian wants to question with a distorted face, is Gilio and Mayron here? I came to give them flower crowns. Laurentia smiled brightly, holding the two flower crowns in her hands. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Damn, I got caught. I feel like I'm having a crump. I feel like I'm having a crump. In the corner of my mouth, smiling with all my might. I was sure I stayed quiet. How did they know I was here? He usually had an amiable face now. Veston's eyes are glaring at me like a snake. So this is what you are. Since when did you get here? I just arrived now, but I didn't hear the door open. I just came in because the door was open. I'm sorry. I drooped my shoulders to look as scared as I could. Just then, my savior arrived. Tia, it was Lorraine holding Craney's hands. What's wrong? Lorraine frowned her face, feeling the atmosphere was tense. Nothing. Vestian let go of my shoulder, which she was holding painfully, and smiled. Oh my, there are a lot of visitors today. Shannon had appeared from a distance opposite from the drawing room. You were here too. I was going to give refreshments to Tia and the children. Then you and your guests. No, don't bother. We were about to stand up and leave. Bastian was back to his usual facade and patted Durak's shoulder. I'm going to be late today. Don't wait and go to bed first. Bastian, who kissed Shannonette's cheek affectionately, immediately left the drawing room. I looked at his cowardly back and looked at Shannonette. The twins are not here yet. The tea set, held by the smiling Shannonette, was only for two people, and the tray was covered with tea leaves. End of chapter 82. Chapter 83, a small space in the corner of the Ministry of Economy and Finance. The only objects were the podium and 10 chairs lined up in front. A public auction was held here today, just like any other day. It was a public auction mainly used by aristocrats or rich merchants when they wanted to sell their property safely. If a small fee was paid to the selling price of goods, the whole process would be under the authority of the imperial family. So it was the preferred method because there was no useless gossip. An official in a government office looked at the auction documents he had to deal with a dull face. A nobleman in the northwest had sold a coal mine who wasn't using to pay off debt. What lucky! If you don't have enough money and you have a lot of things, it's enough to dispose of them one by one. It was a normal routine with boring thoughts passing by. In particular, today's auction has no more preparation because it is a simple bidding method if you put your bid in an envelope. Hopefully no bidders. Since it was a public auction held so frequently, sometimes bidders did not show up, making bids. And an old coal mine, the items at the auction were also not good at all, which made them more concerned. If someone bids, then the auction must be opened once again so that the work increases. Click. Then, as if to quell the anxiety, he heard someone coming in through the door. You can sit in front of this. The mechanically guiding auctioneer stopped talking. Oh, Angenes, right from the top of Durak. If it was Croydon Angenes, the upper lord of the Angenes family. He became so famous after the Koroy Cotton Project, which hit the jackpot throughout the empire, that no one in the capital doesn't know him. How booty it is. His skin seems to glow, and the color of the clothes he's wearing was different from that of ordinary people. Hey, sit here. Thanks. The auctioneer was puzzled as he quickly handed out the front chair. Then several people came on behalf of the Small and Medium Enterprises Association, but everyone responded the same as an auctioneer. Why isn't Janice here? Everyone couldn't even come close and chatted in the distance. Seeing Anjana's participation, there was a conversation about whether there was more coal left in the Lira coal mine than expected. Durak's top owner sat and crossed his arm with a satisfied smile as if enjoying the people's reaction. Then the door opened again. The auctioneer's eyes, which was seeing top of Durak's and Janus, in a dazed, accidentally turned to the side and his eyes widened. Huh! He was so surprised that I couldn't even say a word. The response was the same for others at the auction room. Am I dreaming in broad daylight? No, I'm watching, whispering. There was a commotion in the narrow auction room. Durak's owner, who was enjoying the show with people's attention, opened his eyes. Well, there you are. It was the people of Lombardy who had just entered the auction room. It was Romasi Dillard, the top of Lombardy, and Vestian Scots of the mining company. The attention that had been focused on Durak's top owner a little while ago quickly shifted to that side. Durak top's owner was a bit disappointed, but he didn't mind much because he will get a bigger profit in a moment. He just stood up and greeted the two. Good afternoon, both of you. Oh, I see you here. Long time no see, Durak top. Romasi Dillard shook hands with a grin. Meanwhile, Croydon and Vestian secretly exchanged glances. It meant, let's proceed as they talked in advance. Vestian nodded, pretending to say hello. A few days ago, the two men's plot was almost caught, but Vestian did not change his plan or anything. Given Florentia's response, he thought she hadn't heard anything. Otherwise, there is no way a child with a secret can smile so brightly. No, I don't know what's going on. I know Angenes and Lombardi. I think the Lira mine is a lot bigger than we thought. Oh, well, today's auction is off. Since Lombardi appeared, everyone has given up bidding for the auction itself. It would be worth rubbing against top of the Angenes, but Lombardi was a different level of opposition. It was because they were well aware of their way of taking whatever they wanted, even if they pay several times the amount. Likewise, the auctioneer, who had been dazed at the sight of Lombardi and Angenes sitting side by side, rose from his seat. There are still a few minutes left before the auction begins, but we've been waiting more for Lombardi to attend. As the auction seemed to begin, the roaring interior became quiet. Click. It was then that the doors opened again. It was a handsome man who came into the auction room alone. The man, looking around, stepped inside with a leisurely step. Unlike the two famous family members, people felt sour, but there was an unexpected reaction. It was from the people of Lombardy and Angenes. Oh no, how could you? Clarivan, Pellet, unlike the three men, were flapping their hips in surprise. Clarivan was easygoing. He shook his head and crossed his legs when anywhere and in the middle where no one was sitting. Huh? Especially Romasi Dillard was surprised by his son's sudden appearance. After exchanging glances for a moment, Durak Top's owner and Vestian frowned. The auction, let's get started. The auctioneer checked the time and declared in a trembling voice, the lowest auction price is 700 gold. Those who attended the auction were given a piece of paper and an envelope that had not been used. It was a simple way of writing down the amount of money for the bidding and sealing it. Then the auctioneer checked it and won the bid to the person who wrote down the highest price. No one was worried about how much Durak Top, Lombardi, and Clarivan would write. As soon as they received their paper and pen, they wrote down the number and sealed the envelope. The people of Angenes and Lombardi, especially Vestian, glanced at Clarivan, but he who received the attention was only looking forward. After a while, the auctioneer took all the envelopes. Only the sound of opening the square envelope was heard, but silence fell due to the strange tension inside the auction room. I'll announce the results. The auctioneer announced three bids that were close to winning the bid according to the procedure. First of all, top of Durak, 2,000 gold. Vestian rolled his eyes with a smile and looked at the top of Durak. Obviously, he said 1,800 gold would be enough. The timid Durak top's owner who didn't believe in Vestian, managed to write 200 more gold. And secondly, the top of Lombardy is 1,600 gold. The inside of the auction room was noisy again. Then did Angenes win? That's right. He has spent 400 more gold. Lombardy has lost to Angenes. The repercussions were even greater because no one was unaware of the delicate confrontation between Angenes and Lombardy. Romasi Dillard looked at Vestian with a red face and asked in a small voice, "What's the matter, Vestian?" While Vestian shook his head and acted naturally, just as if he was in trouble and couldn't figure out why. 1,600 gold was more than enough. Let's talk about it later. It was Ramasi Dillard who was angry, but he could only endure the simmering anger in front of the people. The presentation is not over yet. Finally, the auctioneer raised his voice. Lastly, Pellet, the auctioneer who saw the numbers on the paper, gulped down. Pellet Company, 2,050 gold. The auction room is in shock and silence. Therefore, the Lira mine was sold to Pellet Company, I declare. Tuk tuk, the sound of a light wooden stick rang, but no one was speaking. As it is, the time was hardened as if it has stopped. This is, I. In particular, the top of the Durak was shocked, and his mouth was puffy like a goldfish out of the water. Creak. Then Caravan rose from his seat, and the chair scratched the floor. Surprised, Vestian Durak, Vestian Durakdop and his father, Romasi Dillard, looked at Clarivan one after another. Clarivan stood up and checked his clothes with an unaffected face, and only then gave them an eye. The corners of his mouth crept up. Of course, again, with his head lifted, Clarivan strode out of the auction room with his long legs moving. No! Durakstop owner screamed and grabbed his head. No one left easily until the auctioneer quickly returned to the office with the documents behind him. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The jewelry business has cruised. Just 2 months after winning the bid for the Lira mine, the first gemstone appeared in the world. Clarivan picked it up himself and brought it to the Crowley craftsman from Ivan, and thus he put it at the first gemstone I saw in the world. The craftsman tried to kneel, saying, "Please let me work," but polishing was not easy. How strong the jewels are! In the meantime, the tools Crowley used were useless in front of the new gemstone. However, as time went by, his obsession grew, and 2 months later, a jewelry store in Sidakuna, Pellet Corporation, opened. We don't have a name for the jewel yet. What would you like, Lady Florentia? I asked Violet, who asked me that. I answered Violet, who asked me that. Diamond, let's call it a diamond. Of course, diamonds were sold like hotcakes as soon as they showed up. Despite being 10 times more expensive than ordinary jewelry, pre-orders continued endlessly to Crowley. He had no choice but to. The beauty of diamonds has never been in this world. When Crowley gave the emperor the biggest and most beautiful diamond he had ever crafted, they said they could hear Jovanes laughing outside the central palace. Oh good, looking at the diamond sales report while sipping cold fruit juice. It's like heaven. Maybe it's because I took away the things from Angenes. My juice becomes sweeter. I put down the glass of juice I had finished and muttered when I looked out of the window. Now let's dig in, Vestian. A father who loved Shananet the most in the world and was kind to his twins. A retraitor from Lombardy who held my hand as if to break it. It's time to see which of the two is the real face. End of chapter 83. Chapter 84. The divorce of Chananet and Vestian in their previous lives was quite a scandal, especially because Lombardy's internal affairs were always a good gossip and divorce was not so common among nobles. But despite being such a hot topic, no exact reason for their divorce has been determined. Of course, the rumors ran rampant. From the rumor that Vestian had another woman, and Shananet knew where the woman lived, which led her to kick Vestian out. All sorts of squabble followed together. Is it really a matter of infidelity? To be honest, I didn't think so. Although Vestian's clothes is said to be a good looking and have a likable appearance, that's really all. Even the Scots family was not treated very well among the nobles. No, their existence itself was indistinct. After getting married, the Scots family was on the track to becoming a central aristocrat. Among the nobles are Shananet and Vestian, who had a rare marriage of love. I thought he was a nice guy, but I don't think that he is anymore. On the other hand, how about Shananet? She's beautiful, elegant, and sweet. She is the eldest daughter of Lombardy too. Before marriage, Shananet was in charge of all the family affairs. Some even said that she would become the next Lombardy matriarch. But somehow, after marriage, Shananet started to lay low and now she's really doing the bare minimum. Acting like someone who wants to be small and invincible, her abilities were wasted. Yeah, something's not right. In retrospect, Shananet and Vestian's divorce was full of incoherent things. Why didn't they fight? It is common for couples to fight for custody of their children, no matter what the problem is between them. But Shananet did not put up a fight, like someone who got divorced because it was her fault. After handing over the twins in substantial alimony to Vestian, she went down to the rest house. Mali is Lombardy's rest house. It's quite far and takes more than 3 weeks by carriage. Shananet locked herself up there. That made rumors in society that the reason for their divorce must have been Shananet's doing. Shananet knew about the rumors, but neither explained nor gave a precise reason. There was nothing but silence. Before long, Vestian remarried a woman from Scott's estate, as if he had been waiting. Suspicious. Maybe it was because they came from the same estate, so they understood each other. While so lost in thought, Clarivan opened the door to the office and came in. You came, Clarivan? I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. You've been very busy lately. It's natural for me to wait. With the diamond boom throughout the empire, Clarivan was really running around to the point of fire on the soles of his feet. In particular, the requests from the nobles were pouring in. It would be nice to just take orders on a first come, first served basis, but that's stupid. The aristocrats who are bent on receiving diamonds before others are easy to handle, but I told Clarivan not to be bribed by the nobles. You don't need to ask for a favor to reduce the waiting period just to get a few more pennies. Needless to say, it is much more profitable to make them indebted. Of course, Clarivan was doing a very good job. Who who were you with today? I'm on my way back from Pentwood, Wallen, and Dumbardy. Was Brentwood present? Yes, we were talking about Mrs. Shannonette's necklace. There was a necklace Shannonette cherished. It was a keepsake of Natalia, the mother of Shannonette and my grandmother. It's a simple sapphire necklace, so diamonds would look good on her. Say you'll do it in a month or two. Yes, Miss Florentia. I looked a little closer at the face of the nodding Clarivan. What's wrong? You were too busy these days that I thought you wouldn't look that well. But now that I look at you, you actually look better. It's because I'm cut out for work. The business is going well and booming, so I have no choice but to be energetic. Clarivan even showed me that his skin is much smoother than before. It's really milky and glossy, like a peeled hard-boiled egg. Amazing. How's the preparation for the banquet going? It's going smoothly. Most of the people who I invited replied that they would attend. About the guest list, I don't know if it's true, but it's worth the money. I thought it wouldn't be a bad idea to check it out. Is it still possible to add? Yes, if you're thinking of the second prince, we can add security forces. No, not Perez. Then who? Send invitations to Patron Street on Scott's estate to a woman named Maria Patron, the woman who Vestian remarried. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The Pilot Shop banquet was a success. The new shop's party, in which only those on the list can enter with invitations, was enough to shrug off those present. It is also perfect for creating a bond between the people who have succeeded in entering the banquet hall. The atmosphere of the banquet was particularly cordial. When everyone had gathered, Caravan climbed up to the seat on the podium. It was different from what the organizer of the banquet just said as just a podium. The aristocrats dressed up in colorful clothes with neatly brushed hair looked up at Caravan, who showed his gorgeous face. I'd like to thank all of you here to celebrate the success of the pellet company. His handsome face, full of confidence, seemed to sparkle with that gratitude. I prepared a small gift. Please bring your invitation to our pellet merchants at the entrance before you leave this banquet. That is all. Clarivan lifted the diamond necklace in his hand for everyone to see. It was just a simple gold string and a small diamond, but the jewel that glistened under the light was like a star in the sky. I'm giving you all a necklace as a gift. The response was immediate. Wow, impressive. Cheers broke out among the nobles. We've prepared good food and good music. We hope you enjoyed to your heart's content. The banquet began in earnest after Clarivan had finished greeting. As Clarivan went down the podium, he was approached by the head family of Ivan. Clarivan was the beneficiary of the Ivan family's jeweler, Crowley, earning enormous profits in return. Here you are, my lord. Ivan's dominion over the nobles was in the wild north. He was a man of great physique and tremendous charisma, but when Clarivan greeted him politely, he smiled and laughed. Clarivan, you said you received only a fraction of the fur I sent you this time. What's wrong with you? You wouldn't waste a few of those. Thank you for taking care of such precious things. Haha, come on. If you really need anything later, feel free to tell me. I will, Lord Ivan. The next people would be Lombardi's. Clarivan, who found Lulak and his family gathered on the balcony, approached first. You came, sir. It's a feast celebrating the bruising of your business, and I can't miss it. I'm so proud of you, and congratulations. Lulak also changed the way he treated Clarivan when he successfully led the pellet company after independence. It was an act of respect as a businessman, not as a subordinate. Congratulations. These and Laurel just uttered short phrases. It was a rude attitude for someone who had been invited to the banquet, but Clarivan laughed it off. Even though they were trying hard to hide it, you could see that those two were quite depressed. Congratulations, Mr. Clarivan. Standing next to Lulak, Shannon said with a beautiful smile. I apologize for not recognizing such a talented person beforehand. The Lombardi family failed to get a chance to display their abilities properly, and Clarivan was only playing house. When she saw him succeeding like a fish in the water, after independence, Shannon felt sorry for him. It would have been nice if such a talented person had been recognized earlier and assigned to a key position at the top of Lombardi. I've grown up with the grace of Lombardi since I was a child. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help. Lulak smiled contentedly at the remark and tapped Clarivan on the shoulder. But I'm glad you took the time. I heard that Angenis was greedy. Luckily, I was able to win the bid in a short time. Yes, that was indeed luck. Lulak's disapproving gaze looked at Bestian. Lula clicked his tongue when he was not with Lombardis, but instead greeted and talked to all kinds of people from afar. Father, Shannon saw his displeasure, and the bitter expression was left on his face, although Vestron has already apologized, saying it was a mistake that he failed to win the bid at the Lira mine. Lulak's displeasure did not disappear. Furthermore, Romance's words were stuck in his head. It was strange that the Angenis merchants weren't so surprised to see us. Lombardy's entry into the auction was top secret. Lombardy was to maintain its iron monopoly no matter what, so the people that knew their participation in the auction could only be counted with one hand. But Angenis was not surprised by their appearance. Their bid was even higher than Lombardy's. If you talk about a tiger, it will come. Bastian, who was chatting among the nobles, returned with a flushed face. In one hand, he was holding a glass of alcohol. There's food and a table over there. Let's go, father. Lulek swallowed his disapproval at Vestion's impudence. Anyway, he seemed to care for and love her daughter Shananet, so he pretended not to know of his shortcomings. Please take a seat and I'll get you a glass of this wine right away. How nice it smells. Vestion kept talking loudly as he hopped tables. He seemed to be enjoying the banquet more than the host, Clarivan. You must tell me the name of this wine later, but Vestion's words were cut halfway. He spotted a woman from far away. End of chapter 84. Chapter 85. I've been quiet on purpose since I arrived at the banquet. I was keeping a close eye on Vestian, killing my presence as much as possible to witness this very moment. I could see Vestian's gaze stuck in Maria Patron far away. He was clearly taken aback, to the point that he stopped walking because he was so surprised. Bastian, Shananet, who was walking hand in hand with him, wondered why her husband stopped. His brazen and leisurely face no longer there. He turned pale. If Bastian is really having an affair, so be it. If your wife and mistress are all in one place, you'll be having cold sweat behind your back. What's wrong? Are you sick? Shananet asked anxiously. No, I thought I saw someone I knew. Bastian said hastily. Shananet tilted her head. I think it will be more amazing if you don't know anyone here. So who is it? No, no one. You don't have to care. But Shananet was already looking around and said exactly, pointing at Maria Patron. Is it that woman? Oh, it's Bastian was struck speechless. Maria Patron, who found Shananet and Bastian, began to walk towards them with a smile on her face, brown hair and brown eyes. She was a woman with an extremely ordinary appearance who would not be particularly noticed, but I didn't let my guard down. The glistening eyes that did not match the smiling face, was similar to those of Bastian's, who I happened to see last time, bothered me. Click clack, as she approached, Bastian's face was hardening once over. I held my breath even more. I called this woman here on purpose, where both my grandfather and Lombardy people attended. It was to psychologically pressure Bastian more so that grandfather could know the truth right away if it happened. However, hello sir, Maria Patron greeted grandpa first, with a gentle smile. You are. Grandpa seemed a little embarrassed when a young woman he had never seen before talked to him. Maria Patron introduced herself politely, bending her knees. My name is Maria of the Patron family, commissioned to the estate of Scots. My lord, it's an honor to meet you in person. Oh, I see. Grandfather nodded, but still wondered why Maria Patron came to greet him. No one in the empire doesn't recognize my grandfather. However, not many people were qualified to come and greet him in person. She was not even an in-law of the Scots family. It was quite arrogant for that lowly woman to stand in the way of my grandfather and greet him. Grandfather looked through Maria Patron and asked, pointing to Vestian, You know my son-in-law, Vestian, right? Yes, I grew up with him ever since we were children. Long time no see, Sir Vestian. Yes, it's been a while. Vestian greeted Maria face to face. It was a very natural and polite greeting to each other. Were my suspicions wrong? Indeed, it does not make sense for a mistress to treat her cheating partner's wife's family with such confidence. I thought his face was a bit pale, but now it's okay. I felt drained, but relieved at the same time. I knew and Janice were backstabbing us, but at least Shannonet's marriage wasn't betrayed yet. Are you perhaps Mrs. Shannonet? I've always been curious of you because of the Scots estate praised you a lot. Maria Patron spoke to Shananet in a friendly manner. You're so beautiful as what the rumors have said. I see, thank you for the compliment. Shananet thought awkward and smiled politely. You're welcome, but Maria Patron's case that Shananet did not say she was pretty at all. It was the exact opposite of what she had said. Something's not right. Maria Patron and Bastian looked like old acquaintances that really happened to meet. But something was off. I'm getting a hunch. Then I hope to see you again. Maria Patron greeted and moved away. Bastian glanced at the woman and returned to his usual business chatting about wine again. After that, the Lombardy people scattered. Me, my father, Shananet, and grandfather sat down and ate together. These and Laurel's family went away, saying they knew people on the other side of the banquet hall. Clarivan was busy with people looking for him throughout the banquet, but he would return from time to time to make sure we were comfortable. Oh, I feel ill at ease. What I thought would happen didn't happen, and it left me with a vague feeling. I need time to find out more. It shouldn't go on like this. My gut was saying something. Our tea is quiet today, isn't she? What's going on? My grandfather asked, putting a small cut of steak in front of me. Nothing's wrong. I was just a little surprised, so I was busy looking around, Grandpa. Yes, Tia is close to Clarivan, so she deserves it. Grandfather patted my head and said, No matter how busy Clarivan gets, he said he will continue teaching Tia, so you must learn hard. Yes, Grandpa, I answered gently, like a good granddaughter, and brought a piece of meat to my mouth. I feel a little strange. For many of these people, the success of the pellet company, which is currently being celebrated by the nobles of the Empire, is all mine, and no one here knows about it. No wonder I felt kind of proud. It really feels strange. After I had a rough meal, I left the table under the pretext of going to the bathroom. It was to meet with Clarivan and conduct an interim inspection of the banquet. We were supposed to meet secretly in a small room on the second floor of the banquet hall. The problem is I don't even know where the stairs to the second floor are. I walked around looking for a place where there could be stairs. I turned at the corner of the banquet hall and saw a sign that said bathroom. Where the hell are the stairs? As I turned around, swallowing a sigh inside, I saw Maria Patron's back just coming out of the bathroom, and the hand sticking out of the corner deeper into the hall pulls her away. Ah, shh, it's me. It's the voice of Estienne. I stood close behind the corner and hid myself. But it's weird. I didn't hear anything. I quietly extended my head and looked in the direction where the sound had been heard. What the hell are you two doing to be so quiet? You crazy double crosser. Oh, Vestian and Maria, patron, were kissing, hiding in a shady corner. There seems to be only the two of them in the world, but it just looks disgusting to me. I wanted to bring people over here and make them a spectacle. I listened to the conversation between the two of them, to which I had such a hard time. Baby, it was worth seeing you a little while ago, wasn't it? Are you so surprised that I'm kind to her? Maria Patron also asked Bastian with a smile. Of course I was surprised, weren't you? How did you get here? How did you get in? What, am I not supposed to be here? The woman's voice became sulky. Well, it's not that. It's a place where you can't come without an invitation. Yes, I came because an invitation was sent at home. It was the invitation I sent to someone, Maria Patron. Weren't you the one who sent it? An invitation was sent at home. After a moment of panic, Bastian quickly turned around. I sent it. But you can come to me like that when my wife is present. And you even said hello to Lula Lombardi because I've never seen her in person, Maria Patron said. I was wondering because so many people said she was pretty, but she's not. How the hell have you been living with a woman like that? Is she for real? How dare you compare Shannon to yourself? But the words of Estienne that followed were more spectacular. She's unattractive. Maria, you are the most beautiful to me. You always were. What a good scoop. But it's dangerous to step up like this. You know, Maria. It's not the time yet. Lombardi may be stupid, but there are a few who are quick-witted. But I'm bored. It hasn't been long since I moved to the capital, but I'm already bored. I feel lonely and alone, baby. You only come every few days to sleep, so we already built a house for her. Hang in there. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting so long, Maria. But I'd really like to divorce her right now, but it's not the time yet. You know, we have a lot more to prepare. You want a divorce right now? I was dumbfounded and laughed. Western placated Maria, and the two separated shortly afterwards to return to the banquet hall. I was left alone in the quiet hallway, calming my still pounding heart. You're sorry to have kept her waiting for so long. Then it means this extramarital affair happened so long ago. It isn't time yet. Weston said so over and over again. It sounds like you're waiting for the right time to divorce, and what bothers me most was the last thing Bastian said. You know we have a lot more to prepare. What more do they have to prepare? Money? Grounds for divorce? Whatever it was, one thing was certain. In his previous life, Shannonette was completely deceived by Bastian, not only in marriage but also in the grounds for divorce. Mm, End of chapter 85.